Hello and welcome to this week's reset. You know, every day, each morning, the sun rises. It goes overhead and because of the rotation of the earth, and in the evening the sun sets. This is an occurrence that happens day after day after day. And I know even as adults, that is a physical thing that we take for granted. When we go to bed at night and the sun rises in the morning, we just simply expect it to do so. The rotation of the earth is what creates day and night. And then year after year, for decades, for hundreds of years, for thousands of years, the earth, each 365 and a quarter days, or 364 and a quarter, whatever the math is, circles one complete revolution around the sun. We have the perfect balance of oxygen that we breathe in, and it sustains our body. We have the creation of hydrogen and oxygen that come together that create water that is essential for us to survive. But what's most incredible, and like I said before, something that we just seem to take for granted over and over and over each day, we expect the balance of the universe, the balance of all creation, to just simply do its job. So last week, very early in the morning, I'm driving to meet a friend just outside of Iowa City. It's still dark and the moon was beginning to set. Usually I see this image of a big giant moon normally in the evening when it's beginning to rise. But it was just in the perfect situation in the early morning that it was setting. And it had that beautiful large globe look where you could actually see the craters and you could see the imperfections of the mountains, of the hills or whatever it is that's on the moon. And it was beautiful. And it started to captivate me the way that the clouds were dancing in between it, in and out. And it really started making me think of God's creation. And what a miracle it really is. You know, I know that there's been science and scientists that have been trying to disprove the existence of God, to disprove that this Big Bang and the creation that happened didn't happen from an intelligent being. But the more that science and scientists have tried to disprove this, the more science hasn't added up to the point that it really makes sense that the constant state of the universe can stay the way that it does. The way that gravity works with the gravitational pull of the moon and the spinning of the earth, that if just the most minute change would just send us sailing off into outer space. You know, Newton himself even said that he simply cannot deny the existence of God, that the perfect balance that is created in all of creation, it just simply has to have been created by an intelligent force. And you know, I go beyond the majesty and the beauty of the moon. And as I was reflecting that morning while I was driving west on Interstate 80 in Iowa, and I started thinking of the vastness of the universe and how God created such a magnificent state. The universe began and proceeded. You know, during that initial explosion of pure energy, matter was distributed in one direction, while space was created simultaneously to accommodate the expanding matter. This expansion did not spread out circular like most explosions, but moved out as one would expand a curtain from one point to another. This is precisely how the Bible described the expansion of the universe more than 3,000 years ago. O Lord my God, you are very great. You are clothed with honor and majesty, who cover yourself with light as a garment, who stretch out the heavens like a curtain. You know, one of the most magnificent things about the universe itself is the planet Earth. How God created it in a way that it sustains human life. And that all the ships and the satellites and everything and the telescopes that we've sent out have become very hard pressed to find another world, another place that life will sustain itself, that isn't absent of something or isn't too hostile for man to live. God took this one small area of his creation to where it would be us. And I think about miracles. And I correlate it to the universe and the creation of the world and the creation of us. They are miracles. And I've talked to so many people over the years that say miracles don't happen anymore. You know, it's the miracles that they're expecting people to walk on water, or they're expecting a bush to come burning and God's voice to come out of it. Of course, all of those things did happen in the time that God had set aside. But there still are true miracles today. And it's God's interaction. Just as he has interacted with the universe, just as he continues to make this world spin into the great universe, to turn just the right way so that gravity works. There are miracles that happen every single day. You know, the birth of a child, the conception of a child itself is a miracle. You look at the scientific substantiation behind it, and even though there are all these chemicals that come together and create the division of cells and all that, when you get right down to the very minute chemistry of it, it still can't quite be explained how life begins. And it's just this simple: God breathes life into us. Of the billions of people that have been born and died, every single individual is unique in the way they think, in the way they look. Even identical twins have differences in the way that they see the world. There are miracles around us each and every day. The very fact that we have the opportunity to see a sunrise and to live out a day and to see the sunset. Each day is a miracle that is given for us to enjoy ourselves, to enjoy our family, to enjoy each other, to enjoy our friends, and most of all, to worship God. You know, there's a part of my life that I want to talk to you about. Something that I don't really like to talk about a lot. It's not a real feel-good story. But I want to let you know that my mom, she was my hero. And I loved her so deeply. But she had a demon, and that demon was alcoholism. And when she would give in to that lifestyle or that activity, life was not good. And there were a lot of things that went down the pike, and I don't need to be specific about them. But I remember when it came to that culmination and things had settled down, There were so many times in her life that she swore that I'm never going to let this happen to me again. I'm never going to go down this path again. And each time it failed. And the reason that it failed is because she tried to get better on her own. And it just simply wasn't possible. But when she finally made the decision that she was going to become a Christian, when she finally made the decision that she was going to let go and let God, as you hear so many times, that's when things really changed. That's when things really became different, because God breathed His life into her, made her a new creation just as He made the universe. And she never took another drink again. And I am so thankful to God that she allowed Him to come into her life. There are miracles around us. There are miracles that we see, that we experience, and we don't understand that they're miracles. Just as each day that we take for granted when the sun rises and the sun sets, and God breathes His life, His day into us, is a miracle in itself. There may be things that you have in your life. I know there are things that are still in my life that we need to let go, and we need to let God. We need to let Him sustain us. We need to let Him be constant in us like He is in the universe. It could be addiction. It could be a family situation we're trying to get through. It could be accepting something that has come down in our life that we have to understand, that we have to let go before we can move on. It could be a number of things. You can identify that on your own. So my challenge to you this week is, if you wake up in the morning before the sun comes up, I want you to take a moment and just experience the sunrise. I want you to take a deep breath and breathe in and celebrate that perfect arrangement of molecules and atoms that makes you breathe, that makes you live, that makes you aware. Or maybe it's a sunset, that God will paint the clouds, He'll paint the sky, and you can see how you are wonderfully made, just as He made the universe. And the challenge to you this week is to look for the miracles that happen every single day that we don't notice. And may God bless you. May God make His awareness known to you when the natural comes out of the supernatural. Have a great week. We'll see you again.